Good morning. Thank you all for joining my live event today. My name is Kathy Hedrick, and it is truly a privilege to spend the next 30 to 35 minutes with you speaking on a topic that has truly changed my life, which is why I am so very passionate about personal growth. Just in case you're wondering, if you can't find any of your buttons, I've done a screenshot where you can hit it to mute, unmute, and there's also quick keyboards where you can do Alt-A to mute or unmute, and then to stop or start your video, you do Alt-V. So it's pretty easy, and if you're on your phone, it's at the very bottom of the screen if you have any questions. And also, I want to let you know that this is a live event. And so if you want to mute, try to keep background noise to a minimum. But please, if you have a question, and a couple times there is a little bit of discussion, so please unmute, feel free to talk. You can ask questions in the chat, however you want to be, and get this done. Also, I want to let everyone know this event is being recorded. My hope for you today, whether you are just now starting this journey or if you've been on this journey for some time, is that you make a conscious decision to take action toward your personal growth. It's your responsibility, no one else's. And basically, that's all I'm asking from each of you today. So grab your pen and paper and let's get started. I encourage you to take notes. Each one of you in this room is unique. Would you all agree with that?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Show of hands if you agree with that, or just say a quick yes, whatever you want. All right, thumbs up. I got several thumbs up. I got some yeses. I see shaking heads. So let's all agree that we're all unique.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me ask you another question. Who thinks that they have reached their full potential in life, whether it's personal or business? Just what I thought. I don't see any yeses out now. And that's because we all believe we have room to grow. I mean, I know I have room to grow. To be a better person tomorrow than you are today, growing yourself daily guarantees that you will be better tomorrow than you were today. Now, before we dive deep into this personal growth journey today, I want to be upfront. This one seminar is not going to be enough time for us to get into all the facets of personal development. I actually did a Google search a couple weeks ago on personal growth as I was putting this together, and Google actually had 1.4 billion entries. I mean, literally 1.4 billion entries on personal growth. So I just want to let you know today, we're only going to touch the surface. With that many entries on the topic of personal growth, I think the best way for us to begin is by going straight to the top. One of my personal mentors happens to be at the top of this profession. He has written several New York Times best-selling books on leadership and personal growth. In fact, he's written more than 100 books and sold more than 26 million copies in over 50 languages. His name is Dr. John C. Maxwell, also known as John Maxwell. And in his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, is on that list of best-selling authors. And I highly recommend, if you have not already bought it, some of you may have even read it, I highly recommend that you add this book to your library. And also, coincidentally, I got an email from the John Maxwell store this morning that his bookstore is 40% off. That actually works out. Of course, I've already bought my book and read it a while back. But if any of you are interested, it's 40% off. I didn't include the website in here, but it's johnmaxwell.com, maybe bookstore. There should be a quick link on there that you can go to. And I'm just letting you know this, it's 40% off. I don't receive any proceeds for that or anything, but that actually, I got an email on my thing this morning. So let me let one person in. Today, we're going to spend our time together exploring only 2 of John's 15 invaluable laws of growth. The 2 laws that we will cover are the law of pain and the law of rubber band. I chose these 2 laws because they really hit home with me when I first started this journey of personal growth. The law of pain tells us that we will all experience growing pains, and these are just life lessons requiring some form of pain management. How we handle these painful moments will affect our growth. The law of rubber band basically says in order for you to grow to your full potential, you have to stretch beyond your comfort zone. Stretching not only grows your athletic muscles, but your personal growth muscles too. All right, so who's ready to grow? All right, I see some smiles and people ready to go. So let's begin. The law of pain says that good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. I'm going to read that again. Good management of bad experiences leads to great growth and is necessary to grow. This law is actually a tough pill to swallow because pain is something we naturally avoid. But this law is teaching you about better ways to handle it and how to turn your bad experiences into positive steps that will lead to our success. So I got a quick question. Any of you want to mute or unmute? Have a little experiment. Raise your hand for me if you love bad experiences. If you love lots of pain and lots of controversy and lots of challenges, you just love them. All right. Okay. I don't see any big hands going up or people smiling, shaking their heads. So that's not really a shocker. Nobody really loves them. All right. So raise your hand now if you like bad experiences. Anyone out there like bad experiences? All right. I don't see any out there. So I guess we can all agree that no one loves or likes bad experiences. So let me ask you this. Maybe, kinda, sorta, maybe wouldn't mind a bad experience or 2 thrown into your life. Not every day, but every now and then. Anybody out there might like 1 or 2? Okay, I see a few hands out there. A few. Okay, I see you kind of are like me, a little glutton for punishment there. So I have to plead guilty. Every now and then I like a big challenge. All right, so I guess we can all agree nobody loves or likes them, but we'll accept them sometimes. In his book, John Maxwell quotes another John McDowell, in his chapter on the law of pain, saying, "Every problem introduces a person to himself." Let me repeat that. Every problem introduces a person to himself. The bottom line with this law is that everyone has bad experiences. We really can't avoid them. Some of us run from them. Some of us do whatever little bit we have to do to deal with them. And others embrace them. They open their arms for them. No matter what, we can't avoid them. And just so you know, the last portion of those in that group who embrace the pains of growth, those are the people. Those are the leaders who choose to learn from difficult and very challenging experiences. I'll tell you a little story. I remember the first time I spoke at an event for a colleague of mine. I planned everything out. I'd rehearsed it. I'd have people give me input. So what I thought was enough, but actually it wasn't. I went blank when I got in front of everybody. I could feel the humiliation burning inside of me, and I wasn't sure what to do. And then I could tell the people in the audience sensed that I was hesitating. This was quite painful, to be honest with you. My voice was trembling, my hands were sweating, and I kind of felt like my whole body was just about to go into convulsions. Have any of you ever experienced anything like this? I'm sure you have. I'd say that was a rhetorical question. Fortunately, this situation, I remembered a very familiar story. I told it really quickly, even though it wasn't one I had planned to tell. But after that, I got back on track and I was able to finish my speech. And from that point on, of course, when I thought I had rehearsed enough, I actually rehearsed more. We all have bad experiences. We've heard the saying, life is filled with ups and downs. We've probably even said that life is filled with ups and downs. However, we really just want the ups and ups. And we do everything in our power to avoid them, the downs. I mean, really, it is hard taking it one day at a time when you feel like the day just attacked you all at once. And it's true that no one likes bad experiences. Look at how many of you raised your hands when I asked you if you loved them. However, if you learn to manage your bad experiences well, then you'll get something good out of them. Plus, you'll probably have some funny stories to share with everyone. And on here, many people take the should have, would have, or could have path when dealing with these bad experiences. Let's consider a few types of the pain we face. You've got the pain of incompetence. I should have seen that one coming. The pain of financial loss. If I could only get that back. The pain of not being number one. I would be at the top if it wasn't for blank or wasn't for so-and-so. And then, of course, the pain of change. They don't know what they're doing. They should have listened to me. And so on. We could go on and on. And quite honestly, we know that very few people can take these bad experiences and turn them into positive. Many people choose to let these bad experiences make them bitter, but actually few people become better. My goal is to help you find ways to become better, just as I strive to do for myself each day. And believe me, I'm not perfect. There are times where I might not do the better path, but I try to recognize them anyway. So what I've just shared with you are a few examples of what John Maxwell calls your pain files. The pain of incompetence, not being number one, and so on. Just because we have these pain files in our heads and in our emotions doesn't mean we should ignore them. We should keep these files so that we can remember and grow from them, look back on them, refer to them. We need to turn our pains into gains. One of the ways we can do this is by choosing a positive life stance. One of the first points here on the slide. By this, I mean we need to look for the positive lessons in every experience. There's always something positive. You just might not see it at the time. When you live your life with a positive stance, you find that the good will actually become better. The bad might not be so bad as it actually seemed at the moment. One way is to embrace and develop our creativity. Best-selling author Neil Donald Walsh says, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We all know the word comfort zone. Use your gift of a bad experience to open your mind and challenge yourself to use your own brilliant creativity. Embrace the value of the bad. You actually have a choice. Every one of you has a choice. You can look at your life experiences that are bad and you can be set back from them, or you can learn from them. It's been said that in life there are winners and there are losers. Aside from maybe like sporting events, I'd say for most of us, for the leaders, there are winners and there are learners. One of the biggest pushes we get going forward from bad experiences is making good changes. After you learn from a bad experience, don't let a bend in the road be the end of the road. Well, it will only be the end of the road if you forget to make that turn. What happens to us is rarely the end of the road. However, many of us focus on our feelings and our emotions about what just happened to us, rather than focus our thoughts and actions on things that will lead us in a better direction. Take, for instance, this pandemic. I'll share a little story with you. It's very personal. My husband was laid off on March 23rd. Our income was instantly cut in half. And I'm sure there are over tens of millions of people in America experiencing this. And of course, my first reaction was panic and fear. What were we going to do? However, I took a deep breath. I leaned on my personal growth skills that I've been working on over the last several years. And I went into action. We looked at our finances. We quickly made a few adjustments to those things that are needs versus wants. We had a family meeting with our small children. They're 6 and 8. And to be honest, that was quite comical. I sometimes wonder why we tried to do that, but we tried to explain it on a level they could understand. Then, lo and behold, that was the spring break here in Florida. School was canceled after spring break. So now we got the entire family barricaded in the house. We're talking about from mid-March to even today. It's going to be through the end of May. And I bet there are some of you on this call who have actually felt this pain. There's anybody that's working or has children in school, you have felt this pain, no doubt. But after we did all this, it allows for my husband to stay at home and focus on the children. He's their school teacher. And if any of you know me, he gave me the role of being the principal. So that's quite fun because I get to critique his teaching abilities. But having him do all this work with the kids is a true blessing. This allows me to continue working from home. And we have done things as a family that we've never done before. In the evenings, we go for family walks. On the weekends, we play basketball in the backyard. We go fishing as a family. We have played card games and Uno and Skippo. And it's been amazing. So we have turned this negative coronavirus pandemic across this whole entire world into a valuable time with our family and with our children. And we may never get this opportunity again to spend so much time together, barricaded in a house. So my challenge to you is, next time you are faced with a bad experience, remind yourself that you are on the cusp of change. Check your emotions and your feelings and use them to be the catalyst for change and for growth. Do not let them paralyze you. Now, let me give you one more thing to think about related to this law of pain, and it's directly connected to leadership. In other words, how do you take what I'm telling you here today and apply this in your life? There are several questions you could explore, but for this limited time, I want to just give you a few to think about. Remember, I encourage notes. How do you deal with pain? Do you do anything and everything possible to avoid it? Or do you endure it just a little bit since you know you got to get through it some way or another? Or do you work to embrace it and remain positive despite having this bad experiences? We all know people that do any and all of these things, and even ourselves, we probably do any or all of these things. So think about right now where you are on this spectrum. How do you view your bad experiences? And how can you now take this information and turn it to your advantage and learn to grow from such pain? We know that getting an understanding of what has happened and recognizing these emotions will turn into positive experiences going forward. From here, you will have numerous pathways to take. And here are actually a few things that you can do. You can get input from others. Ask others for feedback. Understand your emotions. Think about things afterwards. Identify a specific desired change that you want to have. Write it down. Be conscious about it. And then think about what positive change you can influence, whether it's in yourself or in others. And most importantly, above all, remember that personal growth requires action. If you have not been acting when you have a bad experiences, then you're only avoiding. Personal growth requires action. The ironic part, it's as simple and as difficult as that. I mean, who hasn't heard of growing pains? Same as when we're children and we feel the little growing pains in our legs. Just as adults, it's a little different. It's a little more intellectual, emotional, it's other feelings that we have. My challenge again, don't let another painful experience go by without leaning into it and growing from it. All right. Now, one of my other favorite laws of these 15 laws is the rubber band law. That's one that truly, truly impacted me. And one of the quotes is, growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. Let me repeat that again. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. If I were to ask you these questions, do you want to grow? How would you respond? I believe everyone would say yes. I see a couple of heads shaking, a couple of hands, yes. We all want to grow. We don't say, oh, I don't want to learn anything new ever again. But the truth of the matter is that for most of us, we avoid the pressure because we don't want to feel uncomfortable. You see, we've been taught that comfort is a place to be desired and strive for. We all want to be comfortable in our daily lives. We want to be comfortable everywhere we go. But let me introduce a new thought to you. All living things grow, and that growth requires stretching. John Maxwell says, true life begins at the end of our comfort zone, and we arrive there by stretching. Let me repeat that again for you. True life begins at the end of our comfort zone, and we arrive there by stretching. I want you to think about for a moment. I have a little exercise for you, so go ahead and grab your pen and paper. Be ready. I want you to think about a rubber band. And I want you to think about the ways that you use the rubber band. And what I mean here is literal uses, like the rubber band that holds the newspaper together. I want you to just take about 60 seconds. I'm going to give you a little bit of time here to write this down. Just jot 2 to 3 or 4 things you think about what you would use a rubber band for. Just write down a few of the literal uses of a rubber band, what you see them used for in your daily life. Does anybody need a little more time? All right, if I scroll through here, it looks like I don't see anybody needing more time. All right. All right, now I want you to unmute because I want us to talk about this. Does anybody want to tell me some of the things that they wrote down for the uses of a rubber band?
I wrote down hold index cards together.
Okay, holding index cards together. Anybody else?
My wife and daughter uses them for like ponytails in their hair. And my
Yes.
son uses them to shoot across the room, or either he's also got a rubber band gun and shoots them
Yes, rubber band guns. I believe I know about those things.
from Cracker Barrel.
Yes. All right.
I use them to hold together business cards.
Yes, yes. All right. Anybody else got any other creative ways we can use rubber bands?
Tie-dye shirts
What was that?
to make tie-dye shirts.
Tie-dye shirts. Yes. Yes. Very creative way. Good one.
My friend uses them to shoot flies out of the air, and that's an incredible talent he has, but that's what he uses rubber bands for.
Wow, that is a talent. That is a big talent. He might could go somewhere with that talent. I don't know if I could actually do that. I could barely hit him with a fly swatter. All right. Thank you for sharing. Now, if someone will tell me what all these things have in common, I mean, what What do all these examples we just heard, what do they have in common?
You had to stretch the rubber band to make it work the way you wanted it to.
Anybody else? What do they have in common? Thank you for sharing, because that's right. So let me state it in a way that we can apply it. Rubber bands are only useful when they are stretched. They're only useful when they're stretched. At their resting place, do rubber bands really have a use that you can think of? No, it's when they're stretched. And you would not be where you are and who you are today without some form of tension or stretching taking place. For many, the thought is, well, when I get out of school, when I graduate from high school or college, I've arrived. No more pressure from these final exams, from these crazy professors that don't live in the real world. I mean, after all, I'm grown, right? I can vote, I can drink, I can do whatever. But I think the truth is that we should continue growing throughout our lives. But with growth, like I said, comes discomfort and initially pain. And what we felt in school was the tension to do just enough to get that diploma. It can easily be described as the tension between where you are and where you want to be. So what do you do what do you do? Did you do just enough to get by? Did you make B's and C's and just slide in there and get that diploma? And also have the thought process, I'm not going to use this anyways. I mean, who took some of those high-level math courses and you were like, when am I going to use this? Why do I have to do this? One of my favorite quotes by John Maxwell is, God's gift to us is potential, and our gift to God is developing it. I'm going to repeat that one more time. God's gift to us is potential, and our gift to God is to develop it. Okay, so how do we do that? It's quite simple. By getting out of our comfort zone. By continually stretching, not just physically, but emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. John gives us 7 benefits to tension that I'd like to share with you. Now, like I said earlier, we don't have time to dive deep into each of these benefits, but I do want to do a quick overview. So again, feel free to take notes. Number 1, few people ever want to be stretched. It's literally like saying to your employer, I know I'm overqualified, but I promise to only use half of my ability. Most people use only a fraction of their ability and rarely, if ever, reach their full potential. Number 2, settling for the status quo. I mean, that's a hot word, status quo. Most people are satisfied to settle into the comfort zone of life, falling into familiar patterns and habits they've learned. Being in your comfort zone may feel good, and it even feels safe, but it will lead to mediocrity and ultimately self-dissatisfaction. It takes real courage to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And hey, no one remembers average people. Number 3, stretching is an inside job. Let me explain this one a little bit. The real process of growth begins with our thoughts, our inner thoughts. Those thoughts become words, and those words become actions. British philosophical writer James Allen says, you cannot travel within and stand still without. So think about it. You cannot travel within and stand still without. Think about this. Here's an example. All of life, except for mankind, grows to its full potential. Only mankind circumvents this process. Think about a tree and how a tree grows. A tree doesn't decide just, oh, I'm not going to grow anymore. It continues to grow its entire life. The inside job is these internal measurements that allow you to evaluate where you are against where you are capable. We all know about the rings on the inside of a tree. So it's your internal measurement that you use to evaluate yourself against what you're actually capable of. Number 4, stretching always requires change. There's that C word, change. Change is always a challenge because it actually propels you out of your comfort zone. Here's a couple of real truths I'd actually like to share with you about change. You can't improve and avoid change at the same time. It's just not possible. You got to stop looking over your shoulder at what was and start focusing on what is. I find it interesting that you'll usually not find a successful person who isn't a little restless. You meet these big leaders that you hear about and watch, and they're always restless. And there's a poet that I've read before, George Eliot, and he says, you might have heard this, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." Think about that. It is never too late to be what you might have been. If you are still satisfied with what you did 5 years ago, if you are looking at and still talking about accomplishments from 5 years ago, then you may not be growing. Number 5, stretching sets you apart from others. Have any of you ever noticed that some people lately in the last several years have become satisfied with mediocrity? To me, this is a personal concession to be less than your best. And I actually find it interesting that excellence seems to be further and further away from the accepted norms of society. Successful people actually set themselves apart from the crowd. They go over and above what others do. As you stretch and get better, you'll be able to affect and infect others who will actually follow your lead, and everyone around you will become better as a result. Number 6, stretching can become a lifestyle. When you stop stretching, you stop growing. I, for one, am going to continue stretching and growing as long as I'm on the planet. There is no place for me personally to stop and rest on my laurels, because I already know that all living things continue to grow and that I must stretch. So I challenge you today, make stretching yourself a daily routine. And the last one, number 7, stretching gives you a shot at significance. I mean, we all want to be significant, right? You see, if you're going to grow yourself, you must first know yourself. So what's the gap between good and great? Could it be that our ability to close that gap is directly related to our willingness to be stretched? Who are you having a positive impact on today? Ask yourself, who is it that you have intentionally invested in today that is making a difference? People who are committed to stretching themselves will make a difference. To kind of sum it all up, ask yourself this question. Are you always looking for better ways to do what you already do? If you are, then you need to know ahead of time that it will stretch you outside of your comfort zone and it will propel you in to what you see as your desired future. The law of the rubber band is actually one of my favorites. It's one that I try to constantly be conscious and focus and live out. I don't want to be the same I am today. I actually want to get better each day. So as we deal with our day-to-day situations, let's review, and this is whether it's business or personal, you're going to have some painful experiences. How you choose to deal with them is up to you. You can choose to do it positively, or you can choose to do it negatively. It's up to you. But remember, whatever you choose, it won't only affect you, but those around you too. Basically, some of the things you probably heard, when life gives you lemon, take that rubber band, think about it, and apply it. and make you some delicious lemonade. So let's summarize these 2 laws. The law of pain. Good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. We all have them. They're unavoidable. Use them to make it positive. How we deal with these will either grow us or slow us. That's simple. Then the law of rubber band is summing up. Growing to your full potential requires stretching out of your comfort zone. Remember, nobody remembers the average or mediocre people. To make a difference, you must stretch yourself. As you read through the book, what would happen to you, your personal growth, or even if you want to apply this in a business sense, to your organization, if you took a deeper dive into these laws? What would that do for you? One way you can think about this is simply ask yourself if studying this type of material presented here today would help you grow personally, and if it would help you achieve the better results, the desired results where you can visualize yourself. You can sign up today. Just think about it. It's a 6 weeks, 10 people maximum, unlimited growth. You can contact me, you can do the chat. And again, whether you do this with me and grow with us together is up to you. But either way, I suggest you make this book part of your library. And again, just so happens to be 40% off. And I will give you that coupon code. I think I don't remember if I gave it earlier, but it's Book Fair 40. If you go to John Maxwell's site, go to his bookstore. I don't know how long it's lasting. I just saw it come through my emails this morning. It's Book Fair 40, all uppercase for Book Fair, and then 40, no spaces. And again, this doesn't benefit me. I don't get any proceeds from it, but that's how I just want you to know it's important. This book, I think, should be part of your library. You can let me know through email, or you can let me know through this chat, or I have my personal number up there too. If you would like to continue this journey of growth, just let me know. But either way, I think you should really spend time to learn the other 13 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. Does anybody have any questions or comments or want to add anything?
I just wanted to say thank you for this, Kathy. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're very, very welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. It was really good. I got 2 pages of notes.
Oh, wow. All right. So you must be ready to grow.
Yeah, well, I like taking notes.
Yeah. Yes, the airplane, I think the airplane propeller has been one of the best things. I'm going through the chat now just to make sure nobody had any questions or concerns. So yes. All right. Anything else? All right. One closing. I truly hope this session has added value to you today. That's my main goal, is to add value to you. I want to thank you for your attentiveness and for choosing to grow with me. It's been an honor being with you today. My name is Kathy Hedrick. I'm a coach, speaker, and trainer, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.